Oh, I don't know. Where do I start? Well, I'll start with what I think. With this out of control forest fire in Georgia, I think it was deliberate. We've been in a very unusual drought for a year now, since last September. September of 25. And I think that was done deliberately with the weather controllers through weather modification, geoengineering. I'm going to show you how. This is not my expertise. But I'm going to show you all the high circumstantial evidence leading to that. This is a more difficult video since I'm not a meteorologist, but I've got meteorologist material. I mean, let's just start with these wildfires. This Georgia wildfire that's, to me, this is not something that Georgia typically gets. But now let's remember, the first circumstantial evidence is they did the same damn thing to state of California a few years ago. Fire after fire, drought after drought. In Maui. And now in Georgia. What did somebody do to piss off the snakehead, the shithead at the top that hides? Okay, let's see. It's not his house. These little rich wussies that walk around counting money all day. These clowns. Okay. This is,
My house is gone.
It's not their house. Okay.
My house.
Okay, that one. Now let's look at this one.
It's almost an apocalyptic scene here, very ethereal, on the front lines of the Highway 82 fire in Brantley County, Georgia, southeast Georgia. Look at this burned out vehicle.
Brantley
That
County.
is a melted windshield. Do you know that it takes a temperature of 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit to melt glass? Yeah, that gives you an indication of just how hot this fire was as it moved through this region. Continuing to burn. There has already been 87 homes destroyed, and there's a thick layer of fog and smoke that hangs heavy in the air behind us as new acres of land and homes burned overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost an apocalyptic
They
scene.
waited till, and like I told the reps, yeah, this is before the fire. You know, I predicted it with the drought and all. I said, yeah, you know, don't do nothing, and you're going to wait and let it get to the strike-a-match phase. The strike-a-match phase. Which, you know, these little wussies that do this stuff behind their desks. They, you know, they're a bunch of cowards. The same group of cowards ever since, you know, like, well, way before the Civil War, Sherman. You know, I got this little section here. This is just real quick here as a sidetrack. This is from Watch Me on the Mountain. It's an actual account of Geronimo, and this is an actual account. And they call those Sheridan, you know, General Sheridan, the shit don't stink. Gone into elaborate detail in explaining this name in the saloons of Tombstone and Tucson. His story always brought gales of laughter from the drinking fraternity. Shit don't stink, said Horn. Sheridan knew very well that his shit did stink, but he wanted you to think that he was mighty sure it didn't. Reason for this, Horn said, was shit don't stink. Hid out. He's really a coward, see. Hid out the first 3 years of the war, excerpting when he was caught by Southern cavalry and got his ass whooped. Then, in 64, when the Confederates didn't have mount replacements for their cavalry, no powder, and not much of nothing else, out comes Shit Don't Stink and strike a match Sherman, General Sherman. They called him strike a match, and start into setting fires. According to Horn, if strike a match spent the night in town, you damn sure better shake him down and hide the matches. That son of a bitch loves to watch fires. Always brought roars of laughter. Yeah, that's who you're dealing with. Or the shitheads that, to get to the Indian, they burned all the prairie grass and killed all the buffaloes so they wouldn't have any buffalo to hunt. That's just the mentality of these morons. Anyway, let's go over here. They're just sickening little wannabe men. Little wannabe. They'll never be a man to me. No, not men to my standards. I'm gonna go over here because Google sucks. Can't watch shit on Google. Excuse my language. I'm not in a good mood. Let's see. There we go.
Just terrifying scenes coming out of South Georgia right now. And I know this isn't exactly Smoky Mountain news or stuff that's centered in the Smoky Mountains, but what's happening to our south in Georgia is something that I just felt like we needed to talk about.
Yeah.
Right now, communities across South Georgia are dealing with a fast-moving wildfire. And honestly, some of the details coming out of this are pretty tough to see.
Perfect timing. They waited a year to dry it out with their chemtrails and whatnot, and their and their I'll get to that. Now, you see this.
Local news coverage just to get us started.
Thousands of acres of Georgia and Florida are charred or still burning tonight as wildfires continue to menace the southeast.
This morning, wildfire season in the southeast.
Breaking at 11, no relief in sight for counties in South Georgia being...
Waited to the perfect time, right? Now, they mentioned Brantley County. And, they mentioned Brantley County, which is interesting. And, because I'd seen this one video show up here, about right here, this video had popped up, this data center they wanted.
Well, tonight, communities in southeast Georgia are preparing for potential data centers. There's a request to rezone land to allow a data center in Kingsland. And Glenn County voters are being asked about data centers on their primary and ballots.
Glenn County, I'm sorry. And Glenn County is now part of the fires.
Investigative reporter Riley Phillips is joining us now with a look at where things stand with these data centers in Georgia. And Riley, that request to rezone land is right along I-95.
Yes, if you take a look at this map, this is where the data center could be going. It's just west of I-95 and north of State Road 40 in Kingsland. The land is owned by a Jacksonville man. He's requesting to rezone it to build an industrial park that would allow data centers. He is able to do this under the new data center ordinance that was just passed by the Kingsland City Council back in March. I spoke with the St. Mary's River keeper who has concerns about a data center being built so close to the St. Mary's River watershed. She tells me she wants to make sure the public can share their input on these types of projects.
We want our community to come out.
Jet stream, that's what I was trying to think about. Yeah, altering the jet stream. I'll get to that.
Say their piece, talk about the impacts, why they want it or don't want it, and then help shape the ordinance so that we're able to grow as a community in a more resilient way, a more sustainable way.
Data centers are also being discussed in Glenn County. The county commission finalized their zoning ordinance rewrite.
Yeah, see, and that's part of the fire zone, see. Let's see, what was the other one? Showed you that one. This one. I know this is the same one here. Let's see. Southeast Georgia. I have to go. Let's see. I have to get it. Away from Google. Okay. Here we are.
Well, tonight, communities.
Okay, that's the same one I showed. Okay. So, yeah, that's just a side thing there. Possible one of their, motives, because their bottom line is money. Always. Now, this guy said that the glass was melted on the car. This fire melt glass. Glass can melt if exposed to extremely high temperatures, but typical fires are usually not hot enough to fully melt it. Glass is amorphous solid. It gradually softens over range of temperatures. For common soda lime glass used in windows and vials, full melting point of glass is much higher, typically between 1400 and 1600 degrees C. Most household fires reach temperatures between 500 and 650 degrees C, while extreme flashover events may reach 1000. Even bonfires rarely exceed 1650 or 900 degrees C, which is below the full melting point of glass. This means that in most fire scenarios, glass will soften, warp, or shatter, but will not fully liquefy. Why glass doesn't burn? Fire can melt glass only if it reaches extremely high temperatures, far above those typical of house fires or bonfires. But due to the dryness, the drought, the dryness, and the dry timber, I don't know. Okay, where was I here? And let's see. Here, fire can melt glass. However, glass has a melting point of only 2,900 degrees Fahrenheit. This means most sources of fire will not burn hot enough to reach that point. Interestingly, glass will only melt, it will not burn. That's because glass is not combustible. So let's see. And these are the sources that can melt glass. Flames cannot melt glass. Candle flame, methane, charcoal fire, butane, methanol, wood. A wood burning fire smells nice, but it won't put a dent in glass. The flames burn at 1,800 degrees, which falls too short. Guys, fires cannot burn glass. Glass in fire needs oxidation. But glass can still look charred if it's exposed to high heat, but that's from the carbon that forms when other nearby flammable objects oxidize. Most sources of fire can melt glass if the flames surpass at least 2550 degrees. And that's pretty much... so if you go to wildfires... wildfire temperatures can vary significantly, ranging from moderately to intensely extreme. An average surface fire, which burns low-lying vegetation like grasses and leaf litter, often reaches temperatures of 800 degrees C. Under more severe conditions, in crown fires that consume tree canopies, temperatures can exceed 1,000 degrees C and even reach over 1,200 degrees C. Are often associated with flame heights of 50 meters or more. Okay. Increase the risk of erosion. The extreme heat generated by wildfires has profound effects on ecosystems and human infrastructure. Intense heat can kill vegetation directly, consuming organic matter, impacting the viability of seed banks in the soil. I didn't know that. This can lead to significant changes in plant communities, sometimes promoting the growth of fire-adapted species. High temperatures alter soil structure, increasing risk of erosion and changing nutrient availability and soil pH. Heat can also severely affect microbial life in the soil, which is important for ecosystem health. So it's, mortality and widespread habitat destruction, forcing surviving animals to seek new areas. So, what did that guy say? 1,500 degrees to melt glass. Temperatures of 1472 Fahrenheit or more. So I guess it's possible, I want to say. So it must have been pretty droughtish. Let's see, where were we here? And then above 15. Yes, they can exceed 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit with extreme crown fires reaching over 800 degrees. Okay. So, now, let's go to, now, let's go to why I think the drought, which went on for a freaking year, may have been deliberate. Let me get to that. Let's see. It was walking. Oh, just a second here. Oh. No, sorry. This one. I'm gonna have to go. Oh, sorry. Let's go here. Let's see. Yeah, no, not that one. Not that one. Hold on a second. Video. No water to fight fire. Oh, and here's another one. Okay, this is another interesting thing I want to say. No water to fight fires in Georgia. Residents told to cut back, yet data centers have no restrictions. I have so much stuff to cover here.
You got anything to say? You going up on the next level? You thinking about it? There you go. Sir.
See, where
Pull
we
them
at?
tail feathers out and get you 500,000 gallons of water
Oh, hang on a
a
second.
week for your lawn. Shorter
Hang on here.
1 counties are under a state of emergency. And this is from the Georgia Forestry Commission. While the states are telling families to cut back on water 1 day a week for your lawn, shorter showers, stop watering your garden, the data centers in Georgia were sitting in those same drought-stricken regions, quietly pulling between 300,000 and 500,000 gallons of water every single day per facility to cool their servers. And most of it just evaporates. It does not go back into the groundwater or anything like that. 2/3 of these data centers built on or in development since 2022 are located in water-stressed areas, the same regions that were already running dry. Ain't that something, folks? These data centers weren't being told to conserve any water because they're a priority. Do you not think that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen whenever the electrical grid gets stressed? They're going to be the priority, and you're going to be left with no electricity. One person who did not identify themselves said, I was one of the first people in this community sounding the alarm about the data centers. I eventually said stop fighting the resistance and start demanding regulations, noise ordinance, oversight, accountability. People didn't fully understand why they shifted. This is why, because if nobody knew regulated what they were taking, it would show up somewhere. And turns out now it has shown up in the water. And it's not just the data centers. The farmers in California had their water legally taken away through new groundwater laws, while corporations continued operation with almost zero restrictions. The Great Salt Lake in Utah is dying and shrinking every year because the water that fed it kept getting diverted. Indiana has lost.
What about our farms? These fat clowns in power care. They got their GMO bullshit. That's why they look like crap.
85% of its wetlands, and the wetlands are nature's water storage system. When they're gone, the water that would have soaked into the ground and fed creeks and rivers just runs off and disappears. We didn't lose the water, we gave it away. Well, it got taken by the data centers, and we looked the other way while it happened. Now look at what this actually means. Firefighters in parts of Georgia right now are having to drive 10 to 15 minutes just to find the water to fight the fires. The creeks and ponds that they normally would have pumped water from are all dried up. The drought that started the fire, and the same drought making it impossible to put it out, the water that should be in those creeks didn't just vanish. It was drained, it evaporated off in a data center cooling system. It was diverted, it was pumped out of aquifers faster than rain could ever put it back. Boy, that's some stiff words from that individual down there, folks. I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be a bad mess if these data centers are allowed to continue. Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to Deep River Farm. We had a little rain finally. Don't know how much.
Okay. And I want to now I want to get to this. Now this is probably going to be parts 1, 2, and 3 because I've got more material. I want to get to the main gist of this is how they were preventing rain for a year, and my evidence because I've also got pictures. But we will start right here. 8:15. Actually, I'm going to start this part in part 2. Let's see, I've got, 305. 305.
Should never have been allowed to be this dry.
So we're talking about Florida.
Hasn't shrunk a millimeter. It's expanding every week. The boundaries of drought are constantly being pushed further and further away. This is where the paradox begins to gnaw at our understanding. Florida should never have been allowed to be this dry. The state's climate foundation is built on a completely different database. It receives more average rainfall than almost any other state on the continental United States. Humidity here isn't a joke.
Okay, mind you, the fires are on the Georgia-Florida border. They're also in Florida.
It's a climate identifier. Summer thunderstorms are so reliable that locals can use them to time their clocks. The Everglades survive because this system provides a constant supply of moisture on a geological timescale. Physically, an ecosystem designed to retain water cannot naturally evaporate. So,
all right, I'm gonna end here and go to part 2 so I don't run out of time.
Then what's really at fault is